The amount of secrets Pyramid Cave holds makes your browsing history look like a joke. I could lock you in this place for years, pull you out, and you still wouldn't be able to tell me how to hit this spring. Oh, a cutscene introduction of the level? Not here. It kinda just shows up right after you beat Hidden Base, all like, that was neat, but can I interest you in a Sonic level? And everyone collectively said, please. The stage begins with Sonic dropping through multiple hoops into a cave that's inside a pyramid, which is why this place is called Pyramid Cave. Hope you enjoyed the analysis. Good night. The hoops here double as a cool introduction and a showcase of how to increase your score by jumping through even more hoops, which are scattered all over the place. And before someone says, why not just call them rings, I want you to do a rain check on what franchise we're dealing with here, alright? The first hoop can be reached by running along the wall, a sick maneuver they'll have you do a lot here, and jumping through. Shouldn't they have made the first hoop easy? Heck no! This is your 4th Sonic level, bucko! If you can't make this jump, then you'll suffer from crazier gadgets ahead. The only reason there's an easy hoop right after is because it's trying to show you that hopping through multiple hoops will score you even more points, which is good and all, but check out this spinning hoop that's holding a ring box. Not only will you likely be spin dashing to get up here, but you've also got to time your homing attack so you don't get rock blocked by the hoop. A few steps later, you can light speed dash to zip ahead, almost glossing over the huge shining eyeball staring at you. What is the deal with these things? I'd ignore them if they weren't omnipresent, and they aren't the only things adding atmosphere to this place. You'll find cobwebs in these tunnels caught up in the corners, indicating how long it's been since someone's last gone through here. There's also tons of hieroglyphs along the road, one of which looks like a chow. Maybe we're more similar to those pharaohs than we originally thought. Point being, this level has a lot of heart poured into its atmosphere. This place could have been a generic pyramid and people would have just accepted it, but there's quite a bit to enjoy here. Up on the wall, you'll find multiple item boxes, followed by a tight jump through some hoops, with one final item box containing a 1-up just a little too high for you to reach with a full jump. Strange. Since this opening section is a literal hallway, you can get past it by simply holding up, which I imagine some people will argue is bad level design, and I'd agree if there weren't a lot of goodies to obtain by maneuvering this hallway in different ways. The aesthetic of this place and how it builds you up to confront a more difficult version of it in the future is also what makes me appreciate it. Launching to the next section, you'll find that it's a lot more open. So open, in fact, that a giant swinging ship can be found in the distance. What is the purpose of this thing? You'll even see murals in the back that contain these creatures that look like a mix between echidnas and humans. The flames that light up your pathway are in the mouths of snakes, and the end of said pathway has a door with what looks like 2 humanoid beings sitting on thrones as they hold spears. To get past this door, you must hit this hourglass and make it before the door closes. If it wasn't already obvious, this place gives off some very unique vibes. Truly the perfect pyramid package. If you hate hourglasses, then you can spin dash jump up the incline, landing on any of the platforms above, lording over the lame main path. This enormous fire pit in the middle serves no other purpose than just looking cool, or if you just want to burn yourself. The next section ups the intimidating factor by placing a huge pit you can fall into, huge torches along the sides, and huge snakes at the end. Luckily, you don't need a huge amount of skill to overcome these horizontal bars and make it to the other side. You can even spin dash jump to these platforms, get onto the snake, and leap towards this taller ledge here. It doesn't contain anything, but figuring out these dumb little routes on your own is just so much fun to me. If you fail the bar exam, then you'll be rewarded with multiple ring boxes. This isn't how you're supposed to play the game. Goodness, there's even a chow box down here. It's almost better to fail here. Not sure how I fail about that. Although there is an interesting hourglass challenge here, where you race against platforms withdrawing into a wall, which is a unique spin on racing against a door, and what better way to follow up that section than against a door. You have the option of making a mad dash, spin dash, or light speed dash to make it in time, where you'll come across one of the most awkward loop-de-loops ever. If you decide to style in this section by leaping atop the higher up platforms, then you can land on this structure instead of going through it. After the dash panel, you'll come face to face with a memory. that you can choose to either spare or destroy. If you do the latter, then you'll find an animal pop out, which is quite unusual considering that nearly all the enemies in this game give chaos drives upon being defeated instead. I wonder if this is a reference to Gamma, the robot these models are clearly based on, whose whole story was about releasing the creatures inside of him and his brothers. Huh. Regardless of your decision, you'll come upon the one, the only bounce bracelet, permitting you to live out your dreams as a bouncy boy. You can absolutely skip this power-up, but only villains do that. This power-up is amazing in that it lets you reach the ground much quicker for seamless platforming action. If you bounce in between homing attacks, then you can rack up your score since the game doesn't register you as having touched the ground. It also lets you perform a tech called the super bounce, where you transmit your speed from heading towards a wall into vertical height by bouncing against it. Probably unintentional, but who cares? This power-up's so much fun to use. The pathway's set up for bouncy action, where after an hourglass hit, you can move on to a strange hallway. Either that, or jump to the rooftop to achieve the same result. Allow me to introduce to you the worst mechanic in any of Sonic's levels. The game will only let you pass these doors if you pick up this key and place it in this hole. Do you get anything from holding this key? Absolutely not. It nerfs your movement speed and jump height, disables your spin dash and homing attack, and is an overall pain to carry around. More on this later. Taking this grind rail will grant you a sick outdoor shot where you can see the pyramid in the distance. Not taking it for whatever reason will punish you with multiple bots and spinning spike balls. You've probably noticed Eggman's symbol plastered onto multiple surfaces throughout the level. Seeing it alongside these ancient murals on the wall is a clever juxtaposition for how Eggman's tarnished this sacred pyramid for his selfish ambitions. If you haven't already figured out how to break boxes below you with the bounce bracelet, then Omochow's here to make it clear, along with a bomb item that destroys every enemy except for him, sadly. The following hallway leads you to a ghosty, a bot, and the return of the mechanic no one asked for. Instead of a short demonstration, the game now wants you to travel along this hallway and bring back the key. It gives you a free pass to the end of it via grind rail, but getting back, you're on your own. The dead end has a ghost, which you've likely already learned is terrible at social distancing. So bad, in fact, that you can get shot by either of the two bots higher up, so you've got to be careful as you go to grab the key. Heading down, a bot's set to take advantage of your sluggish movement. To add insult to injury, the game almost laughs at your inability to move fast by giving you a straightforward hourglass challenge. How wonderful. After avoiding another bot and making some heavy jumps up the staircase, you'll finally make it back to where you've gotta slam dunk it in there, completing what's easily the worst section of any Sonic level in this game. Restricting Sonic's movement here has no good reason to exist. It doesn't serve for any cool storytelling, it's not a punishment for a poor action you took, you're not given any additional abilities during it, you just feel worse in every way, slugging through a section where the fun factor was not taken into account. If the devs really wanted this mechanic where the player had to grab a key and head back to a place in the level, then it shouldn't limit Sonic's movement. How about when you touch the key, it floats around you similar to what Omochow does? That would have been great. I'm not sure why they went for this slow key mechanic in the first place. Did they want the level to feel a little longer? I doubt it, since it'd be pretty long even without these shenanigans. Oh, that reminds me. If you head back to the previous room and check its corners, you'll find puny pyramids, which, if placed in the switch compartment, do absolutely nothing. Are you as angry about that as I am? The following cave opens up with an hourglass, which will activate the timer to a door that you cannot see, sending you into a mad dash as you run through this enormous hallway, dodging ghost after ghost, attempting to reach the end in time before the door locks you out. You're given the option of scoring some item boxes, rings, or more points by jumping through hoops. Resisting these temptations will give you more time to reach the end, but come on, you can bounce off a few rings, wall run to the end, and spring down as a finale. How can you not go for that? If the door closes on you, then you can jump into the pit below to get sent back to the start. While thoughtful, I don't think the devs should have used a pit for something like this. After all, most people will see pits and platformers as deadly, so I can imagine some players being afraid to trust this hole in the ground. These ruins are the start of an incredibly perplexing section. It starts by summoning a trail of rings instead of platforms like we're used to. If you follow them without dying, then you'll grab onto this floating mechanism that leads you to more ruins, which also summons a trail of rings. Following them will land you onto a platform containing a missile you can shoot at cages for a 1-up. From here you can drop down to the roof of the main path in order to collect a couple animals wandering about. You have the option of returning to the beginning of the main path, dropping down to the end of it, or taking one of the 2 horizontal bars above you. The lower one will drop you before a launch pad, whereas the higher one will drop you off of the next section. But wait, there's more! When you follow this second trail of rings, you may notice this random rail floating in the area. Grinding on it will bring you to some platforms in the distance, one of which contains a chow box and the other a switch that'll activate a rocket which will blast you through the loop-de-loop and drop you safely onto the main path. Sure, you could have activated an hourglass challenge, ran through some closing doors, and take the loop-de-loop, but why grind some loser rails when you can go through the gauntlet to the side? What a strange section. About Ahead welcomes you to the bounce bracelet zone, where you can tell the devs want you to use it, but you don't need to if you don't want to, because options. I think now's a good time to hear what Sonic's thoughts on the level are. Although it can't be that accurate considering all of the modifications Eggman's made. Now that I take a closer look, his face isn't just on the floors and walls, but the pillars on the side and the structures above too, complete with flashing LED lights. At least he's a man of style. Sonic can also say, the hero side's plan was to enter the pyramid, so why does Sonic here make it sound like he's trapped and needs to get out? Maybe he took a wrong turn or something, I don't know. Unless you don't know how to jump, falling here is pretty unlikely, but if you do, then you'll be given a brutal punishment in the form of ghosts trying to pin you down beside multiple spinning spike balls. Your escape path? Hitting an hourglass and hurriedly platforming atop multiple panels that are quickly receding into the wall. You can land on the structure to the left by jumping off the rail, scoring you multiple ring boxes and a 1-up. However, there's one more thing here that we need to talk about. One mystery that I've never been able to solve, no matter how many tests I did, nor how many searches I did on the web. How do you hit this spring? It's pretty clear that it's meant to lead you to the top of this structure, but if you try to homing attack it, then you'll get stopped by an invisible wall. This happens no matter what angle you homing attack from. The bounce bracelet doesn't help either. I've even tried landing on it with a simple jump from above, but it refuses to let me bounce on it. What's peculiar here is that this invisible barrier isn't coming from the spring, but the pole it's on, as it can be seen when we attempt to land on a different pole without a spring on top of it. My best guess for what happened here is that the devs placed this spring for players to use, but forgot that they made an invisible barrier on top of each pole, inadvertently making the spring inaccessible. If you can tell me how to hit this thing without hacking the game, then I'd love to hear it. Following an hourglass challenge, you'll come across more ruins, which summon a spring that'll lead you on top of the building you just ran through. But funny enough, you don't even need to use these ruins to get here. Spin dash jumping up to these structures will grant you the height to leap over to the same spot the ruins would bring you to. Regardless of your method, you'll see a closed door way in the distance that can only be opened by the hourglasses you've encountered plenty of in the level. But instead of simply running to this door, you've got to quickly overcome multiple horizontal bars in a row where falling means death, and considering the last checkpoint was a ways away, this is something you don't want to screw up. If you happen to do so on the final bar, then you'll actually be given a second chance with the bar below, although it'll be sending you to the beginning to do the whole thing over again as punishment. Nailing the timings here will let you save the chow or the 1-up depending on what mission you're doing. Thankfully, you don't have to do the bars once more on your way back, as the springs do that job for you. I wish more Find the Lost Chow missions had challenges like these for you to overcome instead of having you simply play a melody and move on. Just a thought. With a quick light-speed dash, you'll run through 2 enormous loop-de-loops in a row, complete with a camera that whips around as you launch yourself to the goal ring, which is surrounded by a ridiculous amount of spinning neon-lit poles with Eggman faces on them. Not only that, but this locked door that Team Sonic needs to get past also has an Eggman face on it, almost as if he's taunting them. Throughout this level, we've already seen many examples of Eggman plastering himself around, but seeing it in full force here shows just how much progress was made in approaching the core of his base. This place is an aesthetic marvel. If you're the kind of person that loves to take their time looking around and seeing what a level has to offer, then you'll surely enjoy all the strange hidden pathways, murals, and vibes this cave has to offer. Although its key sections are flimsy at best, I find that the rest more than makes up for it with an atmosphere that truly makes you feel like you stumbled into a place that's ancient. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.
Yes! That was cool!